for appearances, but only like 5 to 8 comics in total. And all her feats, none is fodder. Just imagine, you have a character who has appeared quite a decent amount of times. Some characters, there are some very few comics where they have fodder feats, but not one feat is fodder. And go in her original series, she was shown to be able to take on this being, which was so powerful that the presence alone of that being could knock Monica Rambeau out. Now, not a lot of people actually know how crazy much of a feat that is. If you actually knew, you would be shocked, like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? If you watched my Anti-Man video, then you would realize a very few of her feats, which I just mentioned, like 2 as quick as possible, as well as my next video. But that's small, as Monica Rambeau would get her dedicated video in the long run. And seriously, you guys need to look out to this because she's overpowered. But just know she's above baseline multiversal by a good transfinite margins. Chavez was able to punch this being, basically one shot in it, or her for the time being, in which the being only existed for a different reason. Even before we move on, we need to appreciate the fact that Chavez has her specs of attraction, which are those who have her looks, or which we call females. She was in quite a happy relationship, but life moves on. She has shown to be able to save a child in between her, who represents dual balance of chaos and order in the multiverse, which this time was a child in betweener, which was only powerful on the level of the local multiverse. And this is consistent concerning 2 factors. It is stated that one of the actions was happening in the 6th dimension out of the infinite, and also the ultimate nullifier being there alone, which is a representation of the end of the local multiverse, or Abraxas, or the multiverse destruction, exactly, which can basically take out Abraxas, who is the abstract for such concepts, and Galactus used it to destroy him. Also, this is a far weaker in-betweener that scales yet above the ultimate nullifier, but this same power, the ultimate nullifier, could contain some as well as Miss Chavez, which was no problem for her, as with this same power, if the younger in-betweener should lose control, would end all of creation of the local multiverse, and this dude explodes, but they tank such attacks powerful enough to one-shot a high hyperversal construct, as they are autoversal, but she's a shit ton of times above this. Though she's younger here, every time she's shown, her growth and powers vary. In Ultimates, which was before the very first feat that was stated, she basically carried the Ultimates to the level beyond the exospace, which I will be correcting quite a lot in the cosmology video, but the exospace is the peak of reality on the inaccessible tier. And they tried going to the outside, where multi-eternity was chained. Multi-eternity was chained beyond death by the first firmament, but they was going to die, which is bound to happen, as they even passed the realm of death, which is impressive. Now, Miss Chavez was able to exist in the same exospace or neutral zone, or outside, or the second omniverse, or the second outside, which is the peak of inaccessible into high autoversal, and killed beings native to it, called Shoggoths. Even Adam Brashear, who is basically a walking neutral zone, but the antimatter in there, and even Adam Brashear, who is basically a walking neutral zone, the antimatter in there would have killed him, which is called neutronium, or he called it neutronium, and it is also a frozen space-time, which is infinite, as most layers in Marvel are. Taking all these into account, in America Chavez's own world, which some argue is beyond all of Marvel, but it says it is just beyond the local multiverse, as it can't be beyond Marvel when it clearly has stated dimensions beyond it. Even the same comics like the Ancestral Plane that that totally transcends it, which is a metaphysical space which stretches beyond limits within the universal plane of the ancestral plane, which is beyond the utopian parallel, and says it is beyond the multiverse, which refers to the local multiverse, and the utopian parallel is beyond local multiverse, as stated. Furthermore, as you guys see the origins of the utopian, you can see that the creators are consistently beyond the multiverse. As the moment Chavez was born, she was already beyond the multiverse as well. And even while she was being searched for by technology that can scan all dimensions in the local multiverse, she was beyond the scope of such. And most of the time, she's in the local multiverse or in some high autoversal plane. Now there's these dimension and there's this statements of there being a billion dimensions in the multiverse, which in this particular context would imply beyond the local multiverse blatantly, as in the same scans she says she's from a singular dimension, which is the utopian parallel out of those billions. And we have deduced earlier how utopian is beyond the local multiverse, which it is still even beyond the layer beyond the multiverse without time or space, which is autoversal, and is for the realm of the avatars of the gods. This lady who sees America Chavez further creates robots of her to fight her. But yet, Chavez states that her power is beyond comprehension, her existence is beyond everything known in reality, which is true, as her previous feats consistently get her to the peak of reality, which is the outside or known as the omniverse or the neutral zone. And she could even get them to the level past death and the planet Euphoria, which is impressive. And yet, see the next scan, which says that, and as you can see the next scan, which says that America should be is ready for the destruction of her planet, which destruction isn't stated, but that is the point of this narrative here. And the Sotomayor would never be the same, which would go through a manipulation change. And this Sotomayor is within a planet in a place outside or between dimensions, which is autoversal, as it is beyond the infinite dimensions of one multiverse, out of an infinite amount within the local multiverse, and it is hard to find. So, this video was actually kind of very brief. I mean, she has quite some appearances, but like just her main feats, I put it out there, and she's very overpowered. She's actually very very strong. Going to the neutral zone, the exospace, leading the ultimates. You know, fighting Thanos. The time she actually did fight Thanos, and you know, going to a place that Molecule Man created, and the Livebringer was just chilling in there. No average person literally could do that. She's stronger than Adam Brashear, supposedly, though she should be weaker than first Anti-Man. No, she's very, very, very strong. A very independent woman, and could be very great inspiration to other women. If you found this video informative, please do to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And see you next time. Peace.